Well, this is episode 3 of the Talking Wiffleball podcast. We got Cale on tonight, and as you notice, we don't have Reed.
Thank
So
goodness.
thank goodness, due to popular fan demand, Reed has been fired. Will no longer be on the podcast as a host. We have
You said
issued.
he's down in Arizona, Reed?
Oh, he just got back on Monday.
Oh, was he down there having a meeting with management, Derek Anderson?
No, he was down there on a hiatus with his girlfriend. No, I
Hmm.
don't want to. Anyways, we have written a formal statement about Reed's firing. He doesn't know I'm doing this, by the way. Due to overwhelming listener demand, Reed Ello has been fired. Reed was seen by fans as annoying, self-centered, and in general, he ruined our podcast. He will no longer be a part of the production team here on the Talking with the Wall podcast. However, he will be allowed to appear as a guest in future episodes. Thank you to all the listeners who put up with his annoying ass voice for the last 2 episodes. We are trying to make a better podcast experience, and we believe firing Reed is a great first step. Thank you.
I love it. Fantastic.
There you go. So that's our formal public apology for having Reed on this podcast too much. Yeah, anyway. So we had
How much has
Bison.
occurred since the last time we filmed one of these?
I was gonna say, so we had Bison, Bambinos, and then we had the series with
there was a game day before that too that we haven't talked about.
yes, Lynx crew, Lawman
May
crew.
27th.
What are
Fog
you
Cobras.
guys played that name
It
too.
was the day of upsets, remember?
Mm-hmm. I guess we can probably start with your game first. How'd you feel that went?
Oh, it's a couple weeks old now. I gotta
I gotta refresh the memory.
Well,
pull the stats up too.
Our game against the Cobras Fog, we had Austin McWilliams pitching for the Cobras. It was his return to the league from like 4-5 seasons ago. So it wasn't his rookie debut, but it kind of felt like a rookie debut because he only played like 1 or 2 seasons and he was kind of just a batter.
Pretty much.
And we tried him out a pitcher. I thought he actually did okay. For kind of just giving it a go. It's not like he looked uncomfortable. He looked like, I mean, you said it. You were there. You watched. You thought he looked like he had potential.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's hard. It's hard playing college baseball because you don't want to throw out your arm in a wiffle ball league, which I totally understand.
Well, he plays for the Black Bears too.
Yeah, that too. But I think, like I've been saying it, like if you keep him past that and he doesn't have any more baseball left to play, I think you have a solid pitcher there.
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to be the plan. I think it would be unfair too to talk about this game, specifically the pitching, and not mention Brady Snaza, the Fogs.
Yeah, I was going to get into that too. He had a much better game than
and was
other ones.
He pitched 5 innings, he gave up 18 runs, which is that like a fantastic game? No, but 18.53 is the league average ERA right now. So
yeah,
it's a high scoring game, high scoring league. And he pitched he was average, which is really, in order for the Fog to become decent, you got to have a pitcher that's at least average.
Yeah, I think if he continues to get better, which I don't see why he wouldn't. Like I feel like he's gotten better every time he's pitched, and then with Sosefa be able to back him up, I think they'll be fine there. I think Jordan and Brendan need to just get out of the lineup and let those two swing. And I think they'd actually be an okay team if they just let the 2 rookies kind of just go.
Yeah, and Jordan is actually kind of a good fielder. Muscles, at least.
Yeah, let Jordan roam in the field and just let those two, because I think if they get more at bats, they're going to develop a lot quicker than he thinks.
Yeah, and you have to realize too, Brady and Sosefa are each like I think freshmen or sophomores in high school.
Yeah,
So
they're young. They're
they
really young.
have a long way they have a long runway to, try to become a decent team. And then in the national conference too, you have the ability, at least as the current landscape is in the league, you have the ability to like kind of grow into a playoff team just because it's
Yeah.
not so top heavy.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I I bet next season it's kind of anyone's ball game there.
I mean, that's kind of how has been this season. The underdogs have just kind of, but the thing about the underdogs is they're winning a lot, and don't get me wrong, they look impressive, but I don't think anybody still watches the underdogs and thinks like, this is a team you can't beat. You can definitely beat them.
I definitely, yeah, they're beatable.
They just happen to be winning all their games right now.
Yeah.
It's not like they are just blowing over people.
But
Other games on the day though, um, on that day at least,
the
Wrecking Crew Lynx. That
Lynx,
was a
yeah,
high profile game.
that was a good game.
That was a big win for the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah,
They really needed that win.
Chase
They really needed
Antietam
that win
pitched well.
because they turned around and then lost to the Lawman right after.
Yeah, that was weird. That was probably the last thing I expected out of that. Colton pitched really well in that game.
Yeah,
That was just about
he's
it.
really becoming a pretty dangerous pitcher, Colton.
Yeah. Um, he needs to keep his velocity up. When he keeps his velo up, his pitches move a lot more, and he has a lot better command. But the second he loses that like 2 to 3 miles an hour when he gets tired, he's just done.
Yes. The other thing I've noticed about Colton a little bit too, and I kind of noticed this when he was on the Cobras, he's getting better at it. But and I could be wrong on this, just an observation. He kind of seems like a pitcher who hasn't maybe mastered yet, like when he gets into a tight situation, he kind of, I don't want to say crumbles a little bit, but he can get a little, he can,
He's definitely in his own head.
yes.
And I wholeheartedly believe that he would, if he was on the show right now, he would tell you that himself.
Mhm. Like he starts
And
thinking about it too much.
yeah, and like I told him, I was like, if you got your riser going, like why throw another pitch?
Mhm.
Like until the other team shows you that they can hit it consistently, like why throw another pitch? There's no point. Like just cook that thing in the zone and just go with it.
Yeah,
But and then
I really like this Lawman team, not for this year, just because they have too much ground to kind of like make up in terms of actually like getting in the playoffs. But for next
yeah,
year, once they bring everybody back, because everybody on this team should probably be back. I don't really see anyone like leaving in free agency or like any big trades happening, at least in terms of their core guys. Um,
right.
because you've got Colton at pitcher, you've also got Nick at pitcher, who I'm sorry, but Nick is a very high quality backup pitcher.
Nick is I think the most underused player in the JAL.
Yeah.
Like I
And then
swear to God,
also we haven't seen have we seen Matthew Butler? I don't think we've seen Matthew Butler.
not on the mound. No,
He hasn't actually gotten a game yet, but we've seen him take like practice pitching reps, like kind of before game, after game, like. And I'll be honest, he looks like a guy that if you gave him some inning time in the circle, you might be surprised what happens because he actually looked kind of good.
he's a lefty too. That's something
Mhm.
that I mean. Besides Gage, there's not a lot. I don't even think there is another one.
Yeah, but the thing to me when you're like evaluating a guy who hasn't pitched before and you're just like seeing him take some reps in the circle, to me it's like how consistently can he hit the zone? And does it have at least a decent amount of velocity? And he had both. He was hitting the zone. Now, these aren't game reps. I get it's a little different when there's a batter in there and it actually counts, but he seemed like he had good command. Um, and I know that when he first came in the league before he signed with the Lawman, when he was a prospect, he mentioned that he would like to pitch, that he was interested in it. So I think he wants the opportunity, which is also a good thing. And then you've got, Steven Rookledge, who might win outstanding rookie because he's batting pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that race, they both have 2 games left, right?
Him and
So
Soseppa.
Seppa. And
Yeah,
then who
but
do
I
they?
mean, but maybe Brady Snaza could sneak in there too if he has a couple more good pitching games.
Yeah,
Bring his ERA down a bit. Maybe if they get a win, another win.
I think that's matchup dependent too. Like, who do they have left to play?
This isn't like this definitely isn't a great rookie. It's not a top
No,
heavy rookie class.
no.
I would say overall, in terms of league history, it's a pretty average rookie class. You don't
Mhm.
have anyone that's like going to be an all-star, but I do see that there's like two, three, maybe four guys that, as long as they stay in the league for a few more years, will be like good, solid role players, like maybe fringe all-star type of guys
Yeah,
if they stick and get more experience and all that.
yeah. I hope that Colton can keep Steven around because I mean, like, just watching his swing, he's got such quick hands and he gets the barrel of the ball really well. I mean, his stats don't show it quite yet, but I mean, I feel like
Well,
he's going to be a good hitter.
but too, you have to look at their teams they've played. So when you weigh that,
Yeah.
they've played pretty good teams. They've played against pretty good pitchers. So his numbers his numbers have improved throughout the year too.
Hmm.
It's not like he started hot and then um hasn't like
Who do they have? I'm gonna look at their schedule real quick because they have. I know they play the Sasquatches again.
so yeah, I mean they could get to 3 wins for sure. They
Yeah, they
also played
play.
the Express.
Yeah, the Sasquatches and the Express.
Express will be
And
favored, but it's not like they can't beat the Express.
yeah, with Caden pitching, if Caden's pitching, I'd probably give the nod to the Express there.
Caden, the Express are interesting because Caden had a great day on his first day back. To me, now it's like, all right, let's see if he can do it again. Because if
Okay.
he can do it again for 2 more games, look out.
Yeah,
But if he stumbles a bit, then it's like, all right, he's going to be is he on today? Is he off today type of guy. Because if you have a guy that can do that almost every time you come out, I mean, to go along with the batting that they have,
hmm
they would be extremely dangerous if they got in the playoffs, and then even if they don't, like next year's Express team would
very
be
good.
dangerous.
Yeah, and I think if Colton wants to win that game too, he's gonna have to pitch his ass off. Because I mean, Nick's a good pitcher, but we saw what happened the last time Nick tried to pitch against the Express and just got whopped.
Well, Nick is a good pitcher when he's actually, I think, a pretty good backup to Colton because Colton's actually kind of hard to hit,
Hmm.
but Colton can really lose command and just
Yep.
give teams free runs. Nick is like the opposite. Nick is actually not that hard to hit if you have a good lineup, but he's not usually going to just give you free runs on walks. He's going to
Yeah.
hit the zone. He's going to be around the zone. So like he's a good backup to Colton to start Colton all the time. But then like if that goes sideways, you just put Nick in to like kind of counter that.
I think Colton needs to remember that Nick is there
Yeah.
because that last game against the Sasquatches when he was going to pull himself and he put Matthew on the mound, like he didn't even consider
Yeah. Well, I
Nick at
think
all.
here's the thing too about kind of the Longman situations. I feel like Colton, I get it. He's in a little bit of a spot, I think, where sure, it's like, do I take myself out here and let Nick come in and we try to win this game? But like in the big picture, are we really trying to accomplish like winning and like being on the playoff cusp? Or do I just get as many game reps for myself? Because in the long run, if I can establish myself as a pretty uh reliable, dangerous, tough pitcher for
Mhm.
next year, will be better off than if I just give Nick, because Nick's reps probably doesn't change how good of a pitcher he's going to be between now and next
No.
year. But Colton's reps does. But also, if Colton gets too many reps and doesn't put Nick in, his team has a better chance to lose. But are they going to lose anyway? And I'm like, so it's like this kind of conundrum.
I remember I told Nick was standing there. I was like, dude, why don't you go throw a couple pitches? And he's like, nah, it probably won't matter. I'm like, Nick, go throw a few pitches. And then he walks on the mound, hits the board 3 or 4 times. And Colin's like, oh, yeah, you pitch. I'm just like, you just got to remember that he's there. Yeah. But I mean, I don't think it would have been terrible if you put Matthew in either. I don't think he would have done that bad of a job. He looked pretty good too.
If there becomes a situation before they're done that like they're eliminated from the playoff race, but they have one more game to play, I think they should just throw Colton like 2 innings and Matthew 3 innings to see what they have with Matthew.
Yeah, I mean,
just to see.
I agree with that. Then, I mean, we kind of skipped over the Lynx crew game. Chase threw really well that game.
He did. Chase still has it. They just, the thing about the Wrecking Crew is they're not going to get the 1 seed at this point, probably. It's still mathematically possible, but they're not a team built to go through the gauntlet of the playoffs if they're not the 1 seed. They're just not.
Yeah, Chase can't. I don't think he can handle 3 games.
But here's the great thing about Chase. Chase will try.
Oh, I know. That's the best part about him is he'll throw his arm out willingly.
So I'm looking at the standings. The Wrecking Crew could still get the 1 seed because the Bambianos are 3-1. The Lynx are 4-1. The Wrecking Crew are 3-3. If the Wrecking Crew can get to 5-3, the Lynx and Bambinos still have to play each other twice.
How are my stats looking this year?
Here, come here. Your stats are horrible.
My stats are pretty bad.
You're the most inactive player in the JAL. You care to comment?
It's been a long season of high school ball. I'll put it that way.
Okay, get out of here.
Bye, Cale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll see you later.
I think once. I mean, I also think Krister with more reps could be a better backup. But I thought kind of just like throwing him in there in that game against the Lawman was a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about the Wrecking Crew. They need to get another arm that they can put in there.
So they need a guy like Nick that they can just throw in after
a guy
Chase
like
that's,
Nick,
that's going to hit the board.
Or I mean, I'm trying to think of like who are some pitchers that but like another one that really should. This team should trade this guy at the end of the year if they're serious about like getting built for the future and actually winning at some point in the playoffs is the Rapids. And Jared Shigul would be a perfect backup for the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I mean, I think that like that Lawman game where Chase came out and threw the first inning, and he only gave up a couple, right? Something like that. And then they put Krister in, and I was just confused because I feel like I'd rather just have Chase go until he physically actually can't throw the ball anymore because he ended up coming back in for Krister.
I think what they thought in that game was they had Chase start to establish a lead, put Krister in, let him run the middle part of the game, and then if it's close or if they're up, bring Chase back in to sort of close it out while he still has energy. Problem is, I think they were down when Chase came out. I think the Lawman got on him early.
I wonder, let me look at the box score. But yeah, I think they had kind of overlooked the Lawman just a little bit. Which I mean, I can't really say I blame them because they haven't been very good yet. But let's see. They were the home. No, they were. Chase gave up.
Well, if you scroll down, you'll see the play-by-play. So
yeah, Chase. How much did you give up? Did you even give up any? Walk, strikeout, walk, loaded. So Chase gave up 2. in the top of the first. And then Colton gave up walk. One. So Colton gave up 3. So it was 2-3 after that. And then Krister came in and gave up a couple. How much did he give up? It was 2-4 at the top after the first, and then it was 4-10 after Krister came in, and then Chase came back in the next inning.
Here's the problem with Krister as their backup. Krister's a good hitter. I don't think Krister shows up to a game day with the thought process of like, oh, I hope I get to pitch today.
Yeah, I
think
don't.
He's
I don't-
like, I'll go in if we need to.
I want to show up and hit nukes, and
Yeah,
not worry about
which
pitching.
is fine just for this particular team that desperately needs a backup pitcher they can rely on to get Chase to the spots they need him to be in down the stretch and in the playoffs. You need a pitcher that's like just, I don't know, takes more pride in it, I guess.
Well, so let's think about it. Who do they? If you're saying they should trade for Jared Shagul, like who do they?
Well, that was
throw-
just an idea.
I know, but it's about like who do you trade?
You could
'Cause
trade
I don't-
you could trade Krister, you could trade McFarland, maybe.
Well, is someone even gonna want Sean if he's not gonna be here?
I mean, think about if you're Ty in the Rapids, if uh the Wrecking Crew offered you Krister and Sean for Jared, because like here's the thing about the Rapids is they need to get, if they're serious about winning like a championship, they need to either get another legitimate pitcher to go along with Jared, or they need to trade Jared and get some pieces to either way, they have to go find like basically a new rookie pitcher because they don't have anything to trade to get a legitimate veteran pitcher alongside Jared already.
Do you think Eddie could be that if they developed him more, or do you think they
You
should
know
go
what?
find somebody else?
Actually, I think Eddie could. Yeah, I think he could. I kind of forgot about Eddie.
I mean, he looked. I mean, their game. I mean, we talked about it on the podcast already. I mean, it looked like a massacre, but like he
But
threw some of the pitches he threw were actually very competitive
Actually, they
and
were.
looked
They were
very
really-
hard to hit.
they were.
But
The
then
problem with
the others that
Eddie,
he lobbed was a different story. But some of his pitches look very good.
problem with Eddie is he's kind of like Austin McWilliams. They're kind of in that same like late stage baseball career
Mhm.
where like once they're done and wrapped up with that, they can like do the league kind of full time. Then there's like real potential there for them, but until then you're kind of like they're kind of guys you're kind of like wondering
Yeah,
how-
whether or not it's going to work.
yeah, is he going to be active for what percentage of games, because it's not going to probably be full amount.
Okay, and then we got it's just Bambino's Bison that this last game day. That was an insane game.
Yeah. Gage went off.
I wish we had him on here to talk about this because that was just wild. I mean, I saw Gage warm up and I was like, oh, he looks pretty good today. Like he seemed on, but in no way I thought he was going to no hit the Bambinos.
Yeah. And Gage has thrown a handful of games in his career, I think, where he's no hit a team, but he gives up like 10 plus runs. And so for him to no hit a team, but also like only give up 3 runs.
Oh, dude, I do that all the time. I give up.
Yeah.
I pitch no hitters, but I give up 20
But
runs. and
we got to
lose.
give a shout out too to Keegan Hammer,
Dude, what a savage! Oh my god.
who could very well win most improved award.
Or yeah, even comeback. But dude, he is.
I think it'd be most improved. because he was never that great.
Yeah, where is his name?
I mean,
He's
the kid is
hitting-
hitting, I think, like 400.
Yeah, he's batting 406 with a 753 on base percentage and a 938 slugging. He's going nuts. And I mean,
Against good pitchers too. Like these
yeah,
aren't just,
good
like,
teams.
garbage numbers.
He was one when Gage traded, or did he sign him? I can't remember.
He signed him as a free agent. Nobody wanted him.
When you had him on the Cobras, and when Gage picked him up, I was like, no way that he does anything for. I was really skeptical of Gage's supporting cast, but they've shown up and done pretty well for themselves. I mean, even Landon's hitting 320. Like their lineup is producing,
Yeah.
and if Gage can continue to pitch like that, they're a scary team.
Do they have one other guy on their team too that I'm missing? Or is it just those three?
I mean, those three are the only ones that
Oh,
shown
Zach
up. They have
Warren.
Zach.
Zach Warren.
Zach,
Yeah.
but Zach is yet to be there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, he's yeah. I mean, he was signed only
which
weeks ago, but
that
yeah.
was part of my worry, which is why I think we ultimately got rid of Zach. Was I didn't know if he was going to be there or not, and then we didn't even talk to him during the offseason at all. But I mean, Zach,
here's the thing: if once you get to the playoffs, if Keegan is still batting 400, Landon is still batting 320, and Gage is still batting 280, do you even want to put Zach in that lineup? I wouldn't.
I don't think so, and I don't even really think that's a shot at Zach. I just feel like they have something working, and I don't think they should fuck with it.
Exactly. Why mess with it?
That's literally the only reason. I mean, I think if they get to the playoffs and they suddenly struggle to hit, I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea to be like, Zach, take a swing and see what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't think they should mess with their lineup at all, and I don't think Gage has a plan to mess with it. I think he's happy where they're at. I would be. I mean, you just dispatched the best team in the league, I would say.
Yeah. Here's a question: did the Bambinos lose another game, or do they finish 7-1? They have the Wrecking Crew, the Lynx twice, and the Sasquatches.
Well, so I think they're going to mollywop the Sasquatches, and I don't think anyone would disagree with me there. And we already talked about it here on this that we don't think Chase is really the pitcher to beat the Bambinos.
Well, he could be, and it's the first matchup of the day, though.
Yeah, but I mean, we talked. I think on the first episode we talked about how like between like Chase and Tegan, like we think that like Tegan is the more capable pitcher to beat their lineup just because of the movement and the speed. Because Chase has movement, but like it's relatively straight,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what that Bambino's lineup likes is straight heat, and they just absolutely mash it. So I mean, I think I could see them dropping a game to the Lynx, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they just went out.
Mm-hmm. I'll give them one more loss. I think one of those two teams will get them once.
I think they'll split with the Lynx, and then they'll beat the Crew and the Sasquatches, and then they'll beat the Lynx once. But I think Tegan could best them one time if he pitches well, or maybe even if Matt shows back up. But he hasn't. I don't see a reason to not pitch Tegan because he's just been actually throwing and he's pitching pretty well.
Yeah, what are his numbers?
Let's find out.
8.8. Yeah, it's pretty good for Tegan.
Yeah, and he only 25 innings pitched. He's got.
I mean, think about
runs.
he won MVP last year with. Let me look at what his numbers were last year because they were probably higher than that.
Probably.
He just hit the ball so well. Yeah, he had an 11.9 ERA last year, so he's improved that
Improved on the mound, yeah.
3 points. Let me see what his batting difference is.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens in these next couple games too, because he could get shelled against the Bambinos. Could happen.
He hit 319 last year. And this year, he's hitting 265.
60. Yeah.
So I would say Teagan for like MVP. He's still in the conversation. I mean,
Yeah.
Blake is the clear favorite at this point, and
I
then you
just-
have like
I-
a few other guys in the combo. He's still in the combo.
I think it's. I mean, I don't even know. I feel like it's safe to say that Blake's going to be the MVP at this point.
It's definitely his to lose, and if you look at their remaining couple games, it would be kind of hard to lose.
Yeah, he's got. I mean, I think they're going to go 8-0. Like, I don't see a world where they lose to the Fog or the Cobras, unless maybe Austin decides to throw 90 miles an hour.
Well, okay, but even if they lose to the Cobras and Austin throws 90 miles an hour, that doesn't mean Blake leaves that game with like bad stats.
No, I think for their sake as a team going 8-0, I think it's pretty obtainable at this
Let
point.
me ask you this. We got 740 left before our poverty podcast.
Hell yeah.
What in these last 15 games, give me a hot take or two of like something like kind of a turn in the like a
Pull the standings here and look too.
like something unexpected that you think can or will happen, like a course kind of change down the stretch here. I'm like everything that's trending a certain way, and then like the trend kind of ends, like a new trend emerges, something.
All right. I think my hot take, I think the Lawmen are gonna win out. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs or not, but I think the Lawmen will finish 4-4.
Who do they have left?
Sasquatches and Express.
Mm.
That's my bold take. I'm gonna say the Lawmen are gonna win out and finish the season 4-4.
Mm. Okay.
NC wise,
you got one more in your mind?
The NC is a little tough for me to make a bold take because I feel like it's like what we talked about the other day is how it's just kind of like wrapped up. I mean, the U Dogs are obviously going to be the 1 seed, and I think it's between the Waves and the Bison, and it's just what spot, like who's going to be home team for that first game. But I don't know. What do you have a hot take that you want to
I
share?
will say that I think. Let me check something real fast.
I'm putting big faith in my boy Colton here. He better not let me down.
Okay. I think that the Rapids, who have won a minimum of 4 games every season since JL 16 and onward. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. 9 straight seasons they have finished above 500 or right at 5. Basically, they haven't had a losing season since JL 15. I think this is going to be the first losing season. They're already 2-3.
I would agree.
Their remaining games are 2 against the Bison and 1 against the Cobras. They might lose out. They might. It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on what Jared shows up.
And I think that this offseason is going to be a
interesting one.
Watershed sort of moment in Rapids franchise history in terms of like, I think you're going to see a pretty different Rapids team next year.
I want to get Ty on here and have him talk about that. See.
Well, I mean, there's just how many years can you just keep kind of having,
it's just the same old shit. They're first round of the playoffs. It's like first round exit every year.
I mean, what it has kind of felt like is that they are just kind of stuck and they just have just been keep going with it because they'd rather just make the playoffs and go nowhere in the playoffs than not make it. But this should be the first year that they just don't make the playoffs. So then it's going to be like, it's just going to be so evident that like, all right, we're not even making the playoffs anymore with this current kind of build of the
Sure,
team.
yeah.
Let's just start kind of over.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't seem too far fetched, but I don't know. I mean, we just saw Gage whoop the Bambinos, but Gage also could have just. Are they going to play that doubleheader on one day?
Doubleheader on Monday.
Don't they play the Bison twice?
Oh, the Rapids Bison.
Yeah, they're going to have 2 games on the same day, or are they going to split
Yeah,
those games?
probably.
So I mean, there's a chance that Gage has a bad day, and they sit there and board watch, and they might pick up 2 games. You don't know.
It's possible. But my hot take is that it's not that they're gonna finish like 2-6.
Yeah, I don't care. Fine by me. I'll take my spot in the
And the Waves
playoffs.
get to be in.
But we have our head-to-head over them too. So even if we finish with the same record,
Exactly. They're in a tough
they're in a tough spot.
spot.
They're in a real tough spot.
They basically, yeah. I mean, they kind of need to sweep the Bison and then like also hope the Bison lose again. Or just win out and like beat who the underdogs, is that who the
Yeah, they'd have to beat the Bison twice and the underdogs,
no, they already played the underdogs and
or the Cobra. They'd have to beat the Bison twice and the Cobras, and then they'd have to pray that we don't win out. Because if the Waves and the Rapids finish with the same record, they're out because we have the head-to-head win. So I'd have to beat Gage, and then you guys again.
2 minutes left. Closing statement.
All right. That's not been too bad. I wish we could have got Gage on. That'd have been a fun conversation to talk about. Because I mean, he, especially after being called overrated, and then he goes out and beats the best team in the league. It's a funny full circle moment for him.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I mean, look, he had a great day. I'm not taking anything away from him, but it's one game. One
that is
great
true.
game
It's also one game.
doesn't change like everything about what I said before.
No.
So if he keeps following it up, then sure. But
Yeah, and I think everybody knows if he's on, he's a top 3 arm in the league for sure.
yeah,
But when he's off, it can get ugly. But he was on, so we'll take.
that's
Bambinos don't go undefeated.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it.
That was fun to watch. All right. Well, we got less than a minute on our poverty podcast, so we're gonna get out of here. We'll see you guys next week.